And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again for another great conversation. Have a first timer that's joining us here on the broadcast. I'm going to be introducing him here in a bit. But if you guys are new to us here at Amazon Live, welcome to Amazon.com. We're glad to be part of the live broadcasting here on the platform. If you guys have not done so already, I invite you guys to follow us here. We have programming 7 days a week here on Amazon Live. You can see the follow button either here in this corner or down below. Also, down beneath us, you'll see a carousel, and in it, you'll see the book of today's guest. We're excited to welcome Dr. Ron Anbar to our program today. There you see his book, Changing Children's Lives with Hypnosis, A Journey to the Center. We have it highlighted right now on the carousel. Feel free to be able to click on the book as we're having our conversation today. And as always, if you guys have any questions or comments for today's guest or about the topic, feel free to be able to drop those as well. If you guys are not following Dr. Anbar, we'll let you guys know where to be able to find him as well. But Dr. Anbar, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is really exciting. You and I had a great conversation on Conversations Live, the radio show, and our audience that's joining us on Amazon, they actually can be able to find that here on Amazon Music as well. What I love about this conversation, Dr. Anbar, because I think it's timely, considering everything that we've all been going through, right, in the world, especially over the past couple of years with the pandemic. What has it been like for you to see how something like hypnosis has been a benefit, especially to young people, when it comes to dealing with the challenges we've been facing?
Well, hypnosis is a way of changing your mindset and helping yourself feel better. And we should say right off the top that it's not what people think it is. Hypnosis is not magic. It's not somebody controlling your mind. It's not somebody making you cluck like a chicken or do things against your will. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And by learning how to control your mind better, you can achieve great results. In the case of the pandemic, you can learn how to calm yourself.
And Dr. Anbar, what you've been able to do in the book, and I love this conversation. I see you guys already coming in over there on the Amazon Live side. Welcome. If you guys do have any questions for Dr. Anbar, feel free to be able to drop those down. We'll be able to bring those in for you guys for sure. I love the fact that you started off by talking about what hypnosis is not. Have you found that to be one of the biggest challenges? Not necessarily seeing people get the benefits of hypnosis, but realizing what it isn't versus what it is.
That's a challenge, especially when you work with adults. I work mostly with children, and a lot of children do not have the preconceived notions, so we can dive into the work. And the issue is that hypnosis can really help so many people who don't realize it. For example, anyone with chronic symptoms can benefit from hypnosis. And the reason is how you feel about your symptoms, your pain, your headache, can affect your mood, and that can make the symptom worse. And when you learn to control your mood, your symptom improves. And there's also a lot of people who develop symptoms because of psychological stress, like a child who might develop stomach aches because they're bullied in school, or somebody who might develop a headache because they have a difficult boss at work. Those kind of people, they can get rid of their symptoms just by learning how to calm themselves. And it's much better than pills. It doesn't have side effects. It doesn't cost a lot of money.
And Dr. Anbar, you share in the book some very personal stories as well. Talk to us about why this topic is so personal for you and what it's been like for you to be a part of the healing that young people have been able to experience when it comes to dealing with some of the things that they're faced with.
Well, as a traditionally trained physician, I often came up against the wall in treating my patients. I would use all the tools at my disposal, including various medications and investigations. And for some patients, I couldn't really help. And the reason was because their psychology was involved. And as a classically trained physician, I didn't really address their psychology that frequently. With hypnosis, it gave me a tool to teach the patients how to help themselves. And then a lot of patients who used to be my difficult patients became easy to treat because they were able to help themselves. And there's nothing like helping someone without giving them a pill and just teaching them, hey, you can cope and deal with this issue and resolve it on your own. It's such an empowering thing to teach, for example, a teenager.
And that's one of the things that you talk about in the book, and we shared that actually in our radio conversation at the Anbar, is one of the benefits of your work is that you share with people how to be able to do self hypnosis. How beneficial has that been? Because I think for a lot of people, the idea of being able to help themselves when they're faced with a certain situation can definitely be a plus for them. How beneficial have you seen that to be in those that you've worked with?
Well, as I said earlier, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So even if you're working with a therapist, and you do what you're told, you're doing it to yourself. And
Yeah.
by teaching self-hypnosis very early on, like in the first or second meeting with the patient then takes hypnosis, does it by themselves, and this is what's healing. So I might meet with them 2 or 3 times, and that's it. But they're doing hypnosis every day, and therefore every day they're starting to get better and better.
You say this, and as you were talking, I thought about it, and I wanted to go ahead and read it again. Reading from the book "Changing Children's Lives with Hypnosis." We're going to be reminding you, if you guys are not joining us on the Amazon Live side, how to be able to get the book for yourself. If you guys are joining us on Amazon Live, we have it there highlighted in the carousel. In chapter 17, this life of mine, Dr. Anbar, you say this, and I think it's one of the big parts of this conversation, even that we're having here. One of the most crucial facets of hypnosis therapy, perhaps the single most important, is that because kids learn how to help heal themselves with its use, it gives them a sense of their own power. I love that wording because I think so many people feel powerless in what they are going through. What has that been like for you to empower young people to know how they can be able to help themselves?
Well, there's nothing like it. Many of us feel like there's nothing we can do about our health condition, and that's far from the truth. We cannot control events that happen to us, but we can always control how we react to events, and that's what self-hypnosis allows you to do.
Yeah. We have a comment from Facebook. It's a question, actually, Dr. Anbar. I mentioned to you this may happen as we go through our conversation, which is great. So you don't just have to hear from me; you can hear from other people as well. Facebook user says, "Is self hypnosis as effective as having a professional do it?"
That's a great question. I want to invite questions. I love fielding questions. So,
Mhm.
self-hypnosis can be as effective. It's easier sometimes to learn with a professional because they can teach you the kind of phrasing you might use that can work better with yourself. But I would say self-hypnosis works even better than working with a professional because you can keep
Hmm.
doing it on your own. You're not just dependent on somebody else doing it at an office visit.
You talk a lot about being a part of a support system. Talk to us about that, Dr. Anvar, about the importance of having a support system as people, not only as we're talking about hypnosis therapy, but just in along someone's journey in life as they are kind of working themselves through whatever it is that they're dealing with. How important has that been for you to be a part of that support system?
Well, I think the support system is crucial for most of us. We're social creatures, humans are. And I think it's really interesting. I've worked with some patients for a few months and even years, followed them over long term. And sometimes I say to a patient who's encountering an issue in their life, well, have you used hypnosis or have you talked to your subconscious, which is something you could do with the hypnosis? And the patient said, well, I hadn't thought of it. But then they talk to their subconscious, and within a few minutes, they improve a great deal. And I've wondered, why don't people just do that on a usual basis on their own? And I think because we're social, we sometimes benefit, or a lot of times benefit from being told by someone, hey, why don't you try this out?
Dr. Anbar, we have another comment this time from Linda Watley over on Facebook. Linda, thank you so much for watching us on Facebook. She says, so needed today. I was just going to say this is so empowering because so much is going on in the world, leaving people hopeless. Can't wait to read and share this. Thank you so much for that, Linda. You're definitely going to enjoy it. So, when you hear comments like that, Dr. Anbar, about this being empowering, helping people who feel hopeless, how does that make you feel about the work you've dedicated yourself to?
Well, Linda, thank you so much for your comment, and you got it. That's exactly right. And I am working hard to get the message out there. People need to know they can help themselves. I feel badly that there are people out there suffering and don't realize that they can fix their issues. And their medical professionals don't realize it either. They think the medical professionals think they need to fix the patient's issues. And sometimes that's the case, but in the majority of cases, in the majority of people, if you have an issue, you can help yourself a great deal by learning how to cope better. And indeed, it is such empowering when you realize you got better because you helped yourself and you didn't really depend on anybody else fixing you. It makes you feel so much better about yourself, helps you improve your self confidence, and helps you achieve more in life.
And I can say this is actually my second conversation with Dr. Anbar. We had him on Conversations Live, the radio show. And Dr. Anbar, one comment I got on the radio side here in Mississippi, where I live, is that you don't talk like a doctor. that that the conversation was so easy. And I'm bringing that up because one of the things you do in the book Dr. Anbar talks about creativity, which is a fellow creative that spoke to me, and using references like music, Dave Matthews, and tapping into creativity. How has that helped you, do you think, and also helped those you've been talking with to make this something that is easier to understand and therefore easier to implement in their lives?
Well, first of all, I think as a compliment, I don't talk like a doctor. I
Yeah.
actually, years ago, I realized I'm not really act like a doctor. I act more like maybe a healer, because a
Mhm.
doctor doctors things, fixes things, and I don't do that. I help people heal. I help people help themselves. So it's a little bit different than being a traditional doctor. So yes, I think you make a very good point when you mention creativity. Hypnosis is not just about using it for medical conditions. You can use it for improving your athletic performance, from improving your academic performance, for getting novel ideas. For example, if you're writing a novel, you could imagine, you could go into hypnosis and imagine you're sitting in a green room, like the one you might sit on in television before an interview, and ask your subconscious to prepare a scene behind a door that'll teach you something about your novel. And when the door says enter as opposed to close, you go in and you'll have an experience that your subconscious has prepared for you and will give you ideas for your novel. So an open-ended way of becoming very creative with hypnosis.
Love that. Love that. Have you found that, I mean, in the world we're living in today, people are looking for information, right, Dr. Anbar? I mean, and even if they just Google you, there's some great interviews you've done. Hopefully, this will be added to the list, and and some great also messages you've been able to share, and you can tell the excitement you have on this topic. Do you feel as though this is something that is becoming more popular? For one, for people to be able to explore, but also to feel comfortable talking about.
It's becoming more popular slowly. Certainly, over
Okay.
my 25 years of using hypnosis, I found it people to be more receptive to it. I know physicians who send me patients; they keep sending me more and more patients because they realize it works. They may not know exactly how it works, but it
Right.
seems to work. But really, I think the world is ready for this. I think the world is ready to hear that we can empower ourselves. And if we can get this message out there, I think this kind of message can make a big difference to improving the whole world.
Hmm, I love that. So, to the point about creativity, you say this in chapter 13 of the book when it comes to this. And I wanted to dive into this a little bit because I think, especially for those who may be tuning in on the Amazon Live side, they may appreciate what you say. Again, in chapter 13, the poet and Dave Matthews, Dr. Ambar, you say many patients find this missing piece by tapping into their creativity and discovering new ways to express themselves. And then you say this: the subconscious can play a vital role in sparking that creativity. This was the case for one of my patients, a boy who was tormented by persistent abdominal pain. I suspected from the beginning that he had a vivid imagination, as his was one of the most surprising imagined relaxation places I've encountered. And you gave the experience, and I want our audience to read that chapter to kind of go into it. But I want to talk about that, and I pinpointed that one because a lot of times as we're trying to figure out about something that may seem physical, what has that been like for you to help us use our mental capacities in dealing with it?
Well, again, our mind and body are connected. We're
Hmm.
one being. The reason we have a whole mind body split is because Rene Descartes, when he started wanting to do autopsies, he didn't want the church to say don't dissect the soul. He said no, the mind and body are separate, and we're sort of stuck with it. And in Western medicine, we treat the body, and yet we should be treating the mind as well. And one of the things I teach physicians is, please, early on, you know if the patient is likely to have a psychological issue or not because you've been in experience for a while. So early on, not only test for medical issues, but offer the patient a psychological approach, such as hypnosis, and see how much better they get. Sometimes we teach somebody hypnosis, their symptoms get better really quickly, and they don't need to undergo many medical tests or many trials of medications. So I think that's the way medicine should be practiced. And I'm teaching this to physicians, but I'm also teaching this to the public so the public can tell the physicians, hey, let's try a psychological approach at the same time. Sometimes people are worried, well, if it's psychological, I'm making it up. And I'm not saying that at all.
Hmm.
Psychology is part of the body. So you have real symptoms. Pain is pain, it's real. But that doesn't mean that you can't have control over it with your mind.
Love that. Facebook user, appreciate you in the comment. Facebook user says, hypnosis sounds like something that is needed in all schools across the country. Just imagine the kind of effect it would have on our kids academically. Let's explore that, Dr. Anbar. I mean, would you agree that that's something that should be looked at, being able to make hypnosis something that is offered in schools?
I think it should be offered in schools, at least the basics. Now, you don't want
Hmm.
to do therapy. So there's a difference between hypnosis for therapies, like if you have a
Okay.
medical issue or a psychiatric issue, and just hypnosis as a life skill. So I think basic hypnosis as a life skill should be offered. Learning that positive language has a big outcome. For example, rather than saying, I'm anxious about a test, kids can be taught to say, I want to do well on my test. I want to feel
Mm,
comfortable during my test.
right.
Because when you say I'm anxious, you actually create your reality that it's going to be how it's going to be. So by learning how to rephrase your speech, it can improve. And sometimes just that alone, kids get a lot healthier.
Okay. For those who are just tuning in, you're watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. You guys are just not joining us on the Amazon Live side. Dr. Ron Anbar is our guest for this segment. We're talking about his book you see there, Changing Children's Lives with Hypnosis, A Journey to the Center. We have it highlighted on the Amazon Live side. We're going to remind you also how you can stay connected with Dr. Anbar. Also, if you guys are new to us here on Facebook, if you have not given us a follow yet, you'll notice there's a follow button either in this corner or down below. Also, the carousel of the book you'll notice down below as well, depending on what device you're watching us on. So feel free to be able to click on it and get more information about it too. Let's broaden out the conversation here at the end, Dr. Anbar, because I want to talk about the years that you've spent doing this work. What has kept you committed to it, even with all the changes we've seen in the world, the changes in technology, and even I think the changes that we've seen in openness to the topic of hypnosis. What is it that kept you so dedicated to it?
Well, I believe life is about helping others. That's my life mission. And hypnosis is a tool that allows me to help others in ways that um, I couldn't before without this tool.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, not enough of us are teaching this amazing skill. So I keep going because I recognize every day I see children who turn themselves around. I saw a young man recently who was very depressed and anxious and had been going. This had been going on for months, and I taught him to use positive talk. I taught him how to relax using imagery, and then I taught him how to talk with his subconscious. And his subconscious told him, "You need to stop worrying about what other people think and go on a trip." And the very next time I saw him, he said, "My life has changed. The colors seem more vibrant. I've gone to the gym for the first time in months. I feel happy. I can't wait to get up and go to school." It's totally changed. I said, "What happened? How did you transform?" He said, "I guess I listened to myself." That
Mm.
kind of thing, every day this happens with someone. How can you not be excited about that?
Yeah, love that. So, what is your hope then when people finish reading the book, when they hear a conversation like this and they're over on Amazon or other platforms and they're just now hearing about the book? What do you hope the book does for them personally in reaching them where they are and where their needs are?
So first of all, the book has examples that you can start using right away without even going to a therapist, without even learning about hypnosis. There's lessons you can learn from hypnosis that you can apply to your life starting today. Number two, people should realize that if they're struggling with any issue, psychological or physical, they can improve with hypnosis. And so I hope it'll get people to ask for help, ask for hypnosis help. And number three, I hope people will say, hey, this is really important. I need to tell my friends about this and spread the word, because that's how we're going to help change the world. By the way, if you want to find a professional to work with, you can look up the website for the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis. That's asch.net. And they have therapists all over the country who can help you. And so we're talking about websites. If you want to contact me, you're welcome to do so. You can reach me at Dr. Anbar, DRANBAR.com, and I'd be happy to answer questions as well.
All right. Again, everyone, Dr. Ron Anbar has been our guest. Make sure you guys get your own copy of the book. Dr. Anbar, another great conversation with you. Thank you so much for dropping by today and looking forward to spending some more time with you again.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hey, glad to do it. And we thank all of you for tuning into this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Today's show is being powered by BiteCool. As you guys know, it is the laptop of choice that we use here for Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. They actually have their Windows 11 version. I actually got the Windows 10 Pro and upgrade it to the Windows 11. They have the Windows 11 laptop right now by ByteCool for $259. If you guys are looking for a great laptop for yourself, that's great for streaming, gaming, that kind of thing, you can definitely pick up this one by ByteCool. We have it in the carousel over there on Amazon Live, so you can see it there. We have it highlighted right now. Again, it's $259. Also, if you guys are getting Dr. Anbar's book, you can get it both in print as well as a Kindle edition. And if you guys need a Kindle, Amazon has the Kindle Fire 7 on sale right now for $49.99. I'm not sure if that special is ending this week or not. It has been on special now for the past week. But definitely, if you guys are looking for a Kindle, now is the time to be able to get one very affordably for $49.99. You guys know the Fire 7 is what I have. I have over 300 books that is on mine, as well as music. And you're able to put your popular apps on there as well, like YouTube and IMDb TV. You can be able to add all of those right there. Have them in one place, just like you have a mini tablet for yourself there. But again, the Fire 7 is on sale right now for $49.99. Again, make sure you guys do pick up Dr. Ron Anbar's book. It's a great conversation with him here on Amazon Live. And make sure you guys are staying connected with him through his website as well. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you all so much for watching Cyrus Webb Presents. You all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon.